Hey guys, this is Anthony Scott, Toy Hype USA. I'm sitting here with the Masters of the Universe founder, Scott Neitlich.
Hi.
How are you today, Scott?
I'm great. It's nice to be at PowerCon and not be in charge of the whole line.
Yeah, we're at PowerCon 2016 in Torrance, California. And what a beautiful convention.
It's great.
It's a great show. It's
Yeah.
my first year out to PowerCon and really enjoying it.
Very much so.
So let me get you started. You just announced at the panel that you're going to be leaving Jakks Pacific?
Past tense. So I actually started with Jada last week, and now at Jada. Very much known for its diecast cars, it's full gamut of boys and girls. But they're going to be getting into the diecast figure category, what I call metals, which is the first offering of what will be a whole slew of diecast figures.
Wow.
And they asked me to come over and head it up, so I will now be VP of Marketing at Jada.
Oh, wow.
And I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun challenge.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
Yeah, it's nice to be at a smaller company because you can honestly cut a lot of the red tape and there's an idea and you just do it, which is great.
Yeah.
It's been a great company.
I would imagine there's less people interacting with you and you could do maybe a little bit more what you want.
Yeah, it's much more like if it's a good idea, like, okay, do it. You don't need to get 1,000 people to sign off on something. So
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I wish you the best there.
Thank you.
So let's talk about Mattel. You said that the 8th minicomic never made it into production because you went over to Jakks just as
Well,
that
the
started.
eighth comic was made, but it was not drawn by Axel as intended.
Okay.
Issue 7 and 8 both shipped with the laser figures, but if you look at the 8th issue, the art is completely different. So basically, I was at Mattel through the end of issue 7 being drawn,
Right.
and then they were just about to have Axel start drawing issue 8, and I left.
Right.
And so sort of without me to kind of bandwagon the need to keep Axel on it, I think they just went with another artist who could do it quicker.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm making that up. I have no idea why they actually swapped out Axel, but I was sort of the internal instigator to keep him on, and I think without me there saying we have to do this with Axel, it was hard to keep that. But
Yeah, sure.
instead it just became a project to get done the quickest possible.
It's amazing. You got 7 or 8 issues out. It's amazing what you did. And you said you didn't even get paid to do that work.
Well, I did get paid by Mattel, but I was, my job was to be the brand manager for DC Universe Classics or Green Lantern. I don't think, I don't think you could find another brand manager at Mattel that was actively writing comic.
Right. That's
Usually
what I mean. You said you stayed after 5 and then sometimes worked till about midnight.
I mostly worked on the mini comics on the weekends.
Yeah.
I tended to do them from 9 to noon on Saturday. Like I'd be at home, like writing the scripts and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So that way I could just be in a little bit more relaxed environment than the hecticness of Mattel.
So let's go over a few things that happened. The Ecto-1 subscription to
Yes.
the Ghostbusters. Obviously, that probably will never happen.
I mean, I haven't been at
You don't
Mattel in
think?
almost 2 years at this
Yeah.
point, but that was pretty much the shot. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a Kickstarter.
Right.
And everyone said, "Why don't you do it as a Kickstarter?" And we did.
Yeah.
And we put it out there, and yeah, it was no different than Castle Grayskull, but Castle Grayskull did get the necessary number of sort of pre-buys, like a Kickstarter.
Right.
And unfortunately, the Ecto-1 didn't. I don't know if Mattel has other plans. Again, I haven't been there
Yeah.
2 years, but that was the window, and
That's a shame. Even with the new movie, they haven't announced the Ecto-1 like they showed.
there was a moment to make it happen. We put it out
Yeah.
there. There's just, unfortunately, there wasn't enough. I mean,
Wasn't
at the
enough,
price point,
yeah.
I understand it was a high, but it was going to be an amazing toy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just not enough Ghostbusters fans willing to jump on.
At that moment, at that way we
Yeah.
advertised it, yeah. I mean, it's like you can never, you take a shot, you put this out the best you can, and you hope for the best.
So Snake Mountain, I found out yesterday that they are going to do it. It sounds like they are going to do it, potentially release.
Oh, who said that?
Well, they're going to scale it down. Right now it's in the corporate...
You're jumping on that line that Darren said yesterday.
Yes.
I think I watched that panel too. I think people misinterpreted what he said. I mean, I have no working knowledge, but I heard what he said,
Yeah.
and I saw the reaction, and my gut was like, oh my God, that's not what he said, people. He did not say, like, it's still happening and there's a smaller version.
Well, he said potential.
That's a
Really,
Mattel
something
weasel
like
word.
that. Yeah. He didn't say it was definitely happening. It was...
I would
what I got
encourage
was, like,
fans not.
potential.
I would
Yeah.
encourage fans not to try to misinterpret his words or to look for false hope in his words.
Okay.
I mean, I have no working knowledge, but Snake Mountain was a 2015 item when I worked on it.
Oh,
it was
okay.
meant to ship in 2015,
Right.
and then I saw it got pushed to 20. Every time a toy sort of gets pushed out to another year, it sort of makes it exponentially more difficult to make it.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of baked into the finances for a year, and if you push it out to the next year, and then, I mean, now, again, I haven't been there in 2 years,
Yeah.
but when I left, it was supposed to be a fall holiday 2015. That's the last I knew.
Wow.
And I did see the Sanders comments,
Right.
and I think that they were just sort of talking off that they were not trying to leave a hint or give or say it the way I read the comments, and I think a
Right.
lot of people are jumping all over like, oh, they said it's happening. It's going to be a little smaller, but it's definitely happening. And you might want to maybe do a second interview with them to check, but I kind of got the feeling that's not what they intended to say.
I'll check in with them again. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard what they said. I watched the panel, but
Yeah.
I think people are extracting a little too much.
Yeah.
But that's only my interpretation. I have no working knowledge.
Yeah. So,
I hope it happens. I think it looks awesome.
I do
was trying to
too.
make it happen for years.
did you see it in person at San Diego?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And at the not Man Chinese, the Holly the Egyptian when they had it on display. I mean, I worked on Snake Mountain. Like
Yeah.
everything that happened in 15, I heavily worked on because Mattel works 2 years in advance.
Right.
So I also heavily worked on 16. Everything in 16, even down to the Roton and Snake Mountain, were things that I worked on.
Oh, wow.
I just wasn't there for the actual production, but I would say 70% of the work for an item you have now happens a year to 2 years before you get it.
Right.
So things that you're getting now were still things that I worked on very heavily. So I'm seeing stuff come up, I'm like, yeah, right, Roton, yeah, that's the Roton I worked on. It's the Skeleton that was going to be he was supposed to have wings. But again, there's been new management, there's been new people. I don't currently have contact with people running the line.
Yeah, I found out that the brand manager, Andrew Sparks, left Mattel. He's the guy that replaced Mark Morse.
He more replaced Kim, Skeletor's love child.
Yes.
Mark was brought in to be Kim's boss. See, Kim worked for me for 2-3 years. Kim wasn't like a new person that was brought in. She was a temp who worked for me on the line doing the logistics, like basically making sure the figures shipped to Digital River when they were supposed to, and she tracked everything and kept track. She did basically ran the day and day logistics of the line, and I ran product development and fan relations.
Right.
That's kind of how it got split. So when I left, she then had to take over fan relations and product development in addition to logistics. Mark was brought in. He was also above me. I mean, he wasn't on the Maddie line when I was there, but I didn't know Mark. He was a director. I was a manager.
Right.
So I think they just brought him in because Kim, when she took over, I mean, she wasn't even a Mattel employee. She was a temp.
Right.
So they needed to have a Mattel employee at least in charge for her to report to.
Right.
And Mark is a veteran and knows the line, is a huge He-Man fan, so he was a perfect guy to bring in.
Right.
But my understanding was he was kind of just brought in sort of as a gap to fill. And then Kim left. I'm guessing they probably never made her a full employee. They kept her as a temp. And it's a little hard to keep doing this when you're not even, a full employee.
Yeah.
And so then she left. And then my understanding, again, hadn't been there in 2 years, they gave it to Andrew Sparks with Mega Bloks. So he was running it out of Canada with Mega Bloks for a while. And yes, I also heard that he left. So he didn't replace Mark. Mark was just sort of like temporarily Kim's boss.
Oh, okay.
Sort of, because again, Kim wasn't just assigned to the event; she'd been on it for 2 years.
Yeah.
She just wasn't the public face.
Right.
And then, so then Andrew left the company. I never even met Andrew ever.
Yeah, I met him at Toy Fair. He's a good guy.
Yeah, seemed like I saw his video Toy Fair. I was like, all right, we got someone else doing this. He's great. He's out there. Awesome.
Yeah, he seemed to really know the stuff.
Yeah.
He loved the toys, and I was very excited to work with them. And then just one day, Yeah,
Mattel's had a lot of changeover in the last couple of years, even upper management. Like, I wish I had the management that they have now that's letting them do things like reveal the whole line and do all, a lot of things they're doing, like, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But they've had two or three complete upper management overhauls since I left. So I don't even know the upper, it's been 2 generations since I left, so I don't know anyone, basically.
Wow. Oh my God. It's amazing how a company like that changes so
It's
quick.
a Fortune 500 company. That's the way they work, They're a $7 billion company. They need to do what's right for them and their stockholders, and I respect that.
Yeah, sure. So, Jakks Pacific,
Yep.
You jumped over to Jakks Pacific from Mattel, and you were there about 2 years.
About 2 years. I was hired at Jakks by my previous Mattel manager,
Right.
who was at Jakks, and so he'd actually been trying to recruit me for a couple of years. But he was the offers at first. They wanted me to work on Sophia the First and some costumes and doilies, and kind of had no desire to do that. And then they offered me Star Wars,
Yeah.
which I didn't have a chance to work on Star Wars outside of Hot Wheels at Mattel. I was like, okay, I will work on Episode 7. That sounds good. I love Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I got the opportunity to work on Episode 7 and a good chunk of Rogue One. And then Jada contacted me and asked me if I'd come over as VP of Marketing on their metals line. And that was really exciting.
Now, how did they hear of you?
I was a
Did they-
recruiter. Standard business. I had a recruiter contact me and say, hey, Jada's interested in you. They know you know Collector very well, and they want to. Jada, it's a great company. They're small. They're so well known for diecast, for doing cars, and they want to take that core competency and move into the figure business, do diecast figures.
Sure.
And to me, it's like, wow, no one else is doing diecast figures in the whole industry, and you guys are like one of the best at doing diecast cars.
Yeah.
And so it's a very natural progression, and they needed someone to run it, and it was a great deal. It was an awesome opportunity, and I'm very excited.
Well, some of the Japanese companies are doing diecast figures.
Yeah, but
not
in the US,
American.
not American, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a big hole in the market, and the great thing is they have all of the major licenses for it: DC, Marvel, Turtles, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, that's great.
So you're gonna get everybody in one scale in these metal figures and different metal scales. And now is a great time to jump on board because it's ground zero.
Right.
So you can start collecting from day one. And I never like to start a line without saying you're going to get a shelf out of it. Your shelf at home, your collection shelf, and that's the great thing is Jada's very committed, and that was what really allured me to come over to them because I saw their plan, and they want to build a whole world. There's 150 Jada medals coming out this year. 150.
Wow.
It's going to be amazing. It's going to be a great line, and I'm really excited to help out with it.
Now, I briefly saw them at the panel you gave them out. These figures don't appear to be articulated?
No, they're not.
Okay.
Any metal figures. That's one of the cool things too. I've worked on articulated figures for 20 or 10 years.
Right.
Metal figures have a huge history, not just in America, but honestly worldwide. People have been playing with metal figures since Roman times. So they're in our toy DNA, playing with metal figures. They don't fall over. A lot of times they're in cool action poses, but people don't expect them to articulate. The expectation for a diecast figure is very different, and that excites me because you can do things with diecast you can't do with plastic. You can army build. You could do little. You could do little metal figures. You could do the entire world. But you really can't do that as inexpensively.
Right.
So there's a lot of potential. Yeah, no articulation, but huge detail, great paint, and huge character selection.
Yeah, that sounds exciting.
It's going to be very cool. Jada Metals is going to, I think, be a big player.
What about Masters of the Universe diecast figures?
It's funny.
It's probably your dream for that, right? Get back into Masters in some way?
I kind of did the Ultimate Masters line. Diecast Masters line might be cool. But I don't, it's not going to be, I think, number one out the gate.
Right.
Never say never.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like I've done the Masters line that always wanted, and sometimes it's good to go out on a high note. I tried MOTU Minis, we tried MOTU Giants.
Yeah.
I was pitching that She-Ra Barbie for 7 years.
Oh, you're kidding.
Like when they came out with it, I was like, oh my God. I was like, I was in so many meetings pitching that toy.
Oh my
and to
God.
see it finally happen, when I talked to Garrett, he's like, because I was with Garrett in a meeting 2 years ago pitching it. And they said no. For the 25th or whatever anniversary she just had. We pitched the same exact toy 2 years ago and we're told no. But look, like I said, new management. Every time there's new management, they're open to new ideas. And I was like, when they announced it, like, all right, finally they're making that Barbie She-Ra. Or it's not Barbie, but a She-Ra doll that we were trying so hard for years to make that.
Did you see those Star Sisters prototypes?
No, I haven't. I got to get over and see. That's amazing too.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah, I saw it online, but I've got to check it out.
Yeah. Well, I actually just thought Disney Store has the diecast Star Wars figures.
Yes.
So you guys would be actually the second U.S. company.
Well, we're not. Jada's not doing Star Wars right now.
Right.
But second company they're doing more 6-inch articulated diecast.
Right.
What Jada's doing is more of the collectible, mini 2-inch, 4-inch, and 6-inch, and a lot more.
Yeah, it sounds great. Well, thank you very much, Scott. Always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck to you, and please keep us informed on your progress.
Oh, I'll be working with you a lot. All the fan sites, I'm definitely going to be getting out there, and you'll see a lot of me, and you'll see a lot of metal figures, and
awesome.
It's going to be really great. I'm excited to be in the toy business. It's
a
dream come true.
It's good to have you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Make sure to subscribe to Toy Hype USA's YouTube channel. And my name's Anthony Scott, and with Scott Neitlich. Thank you very much.